Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind. My name's Paul John Dykes.
My name's Kevin Graham.
And today we are joined by Stuart Nixon, who is part of the Bobby Lennox statue fundraising group. Welcome to the show, Stuart.
Thanks very much, Paul and Kevin. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. It's such a huge achievement in raising enough funds to have a statue of Bobby Lennox in his hometown. Talking of Saltcoats, what was it like for yourself growing up there as a Celtic supporter?
I actually don't remember not being a Celtic supporter. Grew up in a very stereotypical Catholic household, you know, the crucifix and pictures of Virgin Mary and Holy Water and all that kind of stuff. My dad was in the Merchant Navy, and he'd be away quite a lot. And I'm the youngest of five, so at times it got a bit confusing because my mum came from a largely Protestant family, and although she would dress us up to go to school and go to Mass, the 12th of July it all got a bit confusing when my mum would go a bit mental. But no, I don't actually remember no supporting Celtic. Always we were in the minority in terms of numbers and stuff. But there were certainly some good times in the 70s and watching all the kind of bigger boys going to the football and all that kind of stuff. So it was good. It was definitely good.
And when did you start going to the games yourself, Stuart?
I think the first, my dad, although my dad was for the Gallagate, he didn't really want us. He wanted us to. It was strange. He wanted us to support Celtic, but he was always kind of scared of us going to the football on our own. So I sneaked away. I think it would be about 11 or 12, and it was a night game, and it was a Celtic and Rangers game. The score was, I would need to look it up. The score was 0-0, and I think Derek Johnson got a goal in the first minute or so that was disallowed, and that magic feeling when it was called offside. That was my first game. That was my first real memory of Parkhead.
Now, for anybody growing up in a place like Saltcoats, whose favourite son won the European Cup for Celtic, an iconic figure, what's your memories of that? Is he somebody that the young kids aspire to be like?
Absolutely. Bobby's revered in the Three Towns area. Across both sections, Paul. I know it's an old cliche and stuff, but you'll not get anybody saying a bad word about Bobby Lennox. He's humble. I could be a day complimenting him. He's always, as a wee boy growing up, you knew you were from the place Bobby Lennox was from. When you'd go away on holiday or whatever, and you'd meet other Celtic supporters, and they would ask where you were from, and the first thing he would say is that know where Bobby Lennox is from? Or if you met fans for the other side, is that know where that wee F&B Lennox is from? So Bobby's always thought of Bobby Lennox and Saltcoats. It's just hand in hand.
Now, is he still living there?
Aye, absolutely. And my mate Andy is with us, is Bobby's nephew. He was with him yesterday. Anybody that's coming will see Bobby in the town. Be walking about, he'll pop in places for a coffee and stuff. He will talk about Celtic all day. He'll share memories all day. He's unbelievable.
You always remembered Bobby being for Saltcoats because when you saw the videos of the Lions and that, and they were saying they were off 30 mile for Glasgow apart for one, and it was always Bobby and he was always the recent documentary. You got interviewed in Saltcoats and that. What was that like growing up, knowing that such an iconic figure was so proud of being from a wee place like Saltcoats?
It's something we don't stop boasting about, I suppose. When somebody asks where you're from and Saltcoats, that's where Bobby Lennox is. It's almost the next sentence out your mouth. We were dead aware growing up of what Bobby was to Celtic. You know, and if you were reading the paper as a youngster, if you come on the telly, it was almost, it was one of ours. It's I know him, you know, and I remember being very young, maybe sort of 7, 8, 9, and you would hear boys saying they were kicking a bob out with Bobby in the local park. And they would get the bragging rights for that for weeks and months. You know, and you were like raging. You know, and you'd hang about the park to hope. And I never ever got it, but Bobby, that was the kind of effect Bobby had on us as kids.
I think what's incredible, I was speaking fairly recently to Joe Miller, the ex-Celt, and he told a story similar to that about Jinky. Because Jinky used to train him for the boys club when he was under 15s or something like that. And he used to come round for a game of football and he'd be standing at Joe Miller's front door with a ball under his arm asking if wee Joe could come out for a kick of it.
Brilliant.
So it's just so down to earth and so humble despite what they achieved.
It's the same way Dunblane with Tommy Gemmell. Even though Tommy was there after he finished playing for Celtic, the people from Dunblane are extremely proud that Tommy Gemmell stayed there for over 30 years. And when I first started going up on the supporters bus from Dunblane, it was amazing. You would walk into the pub and Tommy would be in there.
Aye.
And it was just like...
I don't know what's been lost along it. You would need to analyse it and stuff, but you look at Bobby and Jinky and what they done, and you look at the kind of modern day, you know, where it's all privacy and it's all sort of... I don't know... I can't put my finger on what's changed, but certainly growing up in the Ross and Saltcoats area, Bobby was, you know, he'd be kicking a ball about the park, he'd be walking in the town, you could get into his pub. So accessible, I suppose is what I'm saying, and there's a massive difference now. The players just aren't accessible.
They're untouchable almost. Right. I mean, if I was to visit Saltcoats, is there anything there that would tell me that this is the hometown of Bobby Lennox? There
was a sort of paving stone put in the street outside his pub that said Bobby Lennox, Lisbon Lion, and I think it was about a year later before Bobby found out it was there. So no, there was nothing significant that would mark Bobby's contribution to Saltcoats and his birthplace and his achievements.
When did the idea come to your mind that you wanted to do something permanent in the town?
Well, it wasn't me. There was two young men, Dean McMillan and Mark McClure. Both of them have never seen Bobby play in the flesh. They're a younger generation in their 30s and stuff. And I like to promote the kind of urban myth that was born out of drunken conversation. But the reality was, I think there was an announcement from Celtic Television or something about Bobby's birthday. And there's been a few attempts to kind of gather pace for the statue. But Mark and Dean were kind of very much part of the early stuff. And when sort of folk fell by the wayside, they kept it going. You know, it started with hidden teams on buses, you know, that kind of thing. Then it snowballed and got bigger and bigger. And they guys really put the foundations in for the whole start of the campaign. I come on a year and a half, kind of, a wee bit longer. But by that time, these two young men had really put a base down, really sort of, and the campaign was well established.
When did the campaign start?
There's various times. There's been a couple of attempts, but this one started in earnest probably just over 2 years ago, Kevin, where the statue was commissioned, plans were in place, and then a kind of attempt at kind of working on the bureaucracy of the whole thing, which takes up a massive amount of time. So about just over 2 years ago, I'd imagine.
Like Bobby himself, it has gathered pace quite quickly.
I never thought of that.
With these things, because I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about St Mirren. It was Christopher Bookmeyer, the author, that was speaking about it, and he says that there's certain things they wanted to do in Paisley with St Mirren, but councillors who didn't support St Mirren stopped things happening. Is there anything like that in Saltcoats?
I think there was difficulties, let's say, Kevin, that we were able to overcome. And we were able to overcome it by being transparent, being honest, being upfront. And from the start, Dean and Mark showed a massive level of maturity beyond the years, because it was never about Celtic. You know, the statue wasn't about Celtic. It was about Saltcoats, it was about Bobby Lennox. It was about a legacy, it was about an inspiration. So it was hard work overcoming some aspects of the bureaucracy. You know, and at one time we thought we were done. But we just kept battling away, and slowly but surely, important figures within that kind of mess of bureaucracy come on our side. We met with them regularly and put our case across, and won through. You know,
that's the thing. It's a community thing.
Absolutely,
it's celebrating Saltcoats. It's celebrating a favourite son of Saltcoats. It's like the work that the John Thompson guys do in Carden Den and stuff like that, and they tie it in with the miners, like, and you look at that, and I was at the John Thompson thing earlier on, and you see the guys that are doing it, and they're keeping the legacy alive.
Absolutely.
And they're celebrating a Carden Den son. They're not celebrating a Celtic goalie.
No.
But even though us Celtic fans go to the memorial and stuff like that, it's for the whole community there, and that's and I think councillors need to realise that, because famous Scottish people need to get celebrated in these wee towns and villages that are no longer got anything.
Without a doubt.
They've become satellite towns.
We've forged a really positive relationship with Glasgow Celtic through the statue, and I think it'd been too easy to go to the hierarchy in Celtic and kind of emotionally blackmail them. into giving us funds and stuff. Celtic's been really supportive. They've given us the use of the Kerrydale suite. They gave us the use of Lennoxtown for a 5-a-side tournament, and stuff like that. And they've wanted regular updates and how we're going. But the fact is that this has been done through fans of football. We spoke about the divide in the three towns earlier. The support and the money donated by a certain generation of Rangers fans in the three towns has been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm getting guys that I know growing up that very much the other side, and come to the door for T-shirts, badges, pennants, prints for mates that work for their families. Don't you tell them that I was here. And they're spending hundreds of pounds. And a few of them, please don't tell anybody I was here, and then they're out the door, I was putting it on Facebook. It's certainly, somebody that's kind of the older generation can probably accused of being quite cynical. There's been a real coming together of the community, which has been great to see and has been missed for a long time. And that's Bobby that's done that. Mm-hmm. And folks' memories of Bobby and folks' thoughts and feelings of Bobby. And it's been a pleasure to be part of.
Now, you mentioned earlier about Bobby's humility. How did he feel when it was announced that there was going to be a statue? What was his reaction to that?
I think the words were, oh, no, that'll be awfully embarrassing. No, he didn't want it. He seriously didn't want it. And I was talking with Andy on the way up. He was with his Uncle Bobby last night. I think it's only just beginning to hit him. It was only kind of through the perseverance in the initial stages of Mark and Dean. Andy's partner, Caroline, she come on board as well. And I don't know if you met Caroline, she's a bit of a force of nature. Dublin girl.
Every campaign needs a force of nature.
Absolutely. To describe her as kind of fiery and headstrong kind of minimises her a wee bit. She's something else. But I think there was a kind of two-pronged attack. Nipping his head, speaking with the family. And I think Bobby was of the opinion they're going to do it anyway. And then he got on board. And we've kind of kept him up to date. We don't consult with him an awful lot, to be honest. He doesn't really want that. Just, is everything all right? Bobby, everything's fine. And you say, we're hopeful for this, we're hopeful for that. And that's Sunday, you want a cup of tea? And then he doesn't spend a lot of time. You can't spend a lot of time talking to him about the statue because he does get that kind of cringy way. The word humility honestly doesn't describe him. He's so humble. I love being in his company. I just soak it up. And obviously with the kind of statue campaign, being in his company a bit more. But still the kind of memories of a wee boy, a wee 8-year-old watching a guy that stayed, within walking distance on the telly. We know folks get internet and all that kind of stuff now. But you'd be watching Scottish sport and there's Bobby Lennox. And it did give you that feeling. And I suppose that's, he still kind of gives me that kind of, no pun intended, buzz. Mm-hmm. He's an unbelievably lovely man.
Now, when we walk up the Celtic Way now, we've got 4 statues, and they're beautiful. They really are stunning. How do you go about organising someone to sculpture that and create that work of art?
I mean, essentially, Mark and Dean, as I say, very much, and Caroline, very much in the early stages, they get the idea. We're going to celebrate Saltcoats' most famous son, and the best way to do that is through a statue. So the funds started, and then I think it was a case of we need somebody to make it almost. So there was only one guy approached, and that was John McKenna. Yeah, John's done the statues at Celtic Park, he's done the Jinky stuff, he's done the Bon Scott one at Kirriemuir. So Mark and Dean, the rest of the committee, approached John, who's been nothing short of phenomenal, in terms of giving his time, in terms of, because obviously we've got to pay the guy, and there's a whole process of before it gets to the bronzing stage, which is really expensive. John's an artist, that's his work. So there was a whole massive arrangement on his part with how we were able to pay it at certain stages, and he was so patient and supportive. He would go and he would take the statue onto a certain stage, knowing that he had been paid for the stage before. So we've got a big debt to John McKenna. But it's a kind of strange one where you go, I want to do this, and then you start the ball rolling, and then you go, how do you do it?
How do you do it, aye.
But there was only one guy to approach, and that was John McKenna. The man is, he's a genius.
Without giving anything away about the statue, was there a few options of how it was going to look? Did you have to go through a selection process?
Absolutely. We had to look at pictures, internet, all that kind of stuff. What John liked, what the committee liked, and ultimately what Bobby liked. So that it was certainly a lot of negotiations and kind of backwards and forwards. And then when I get into the clay stage, Bobby would go down and boots were the wrong size. So, I think his feet were either too big or too wee.
Wow.
And John had the statue was essentially Bobby, without getting too much away, Bobby turning away after scoring a goal. So John had a finger raised, and Bobby said, "I never done that in my life, had a clenched fist." So it was that kind of wee detail.
Wee details, aye.
Bobby's biggest attribute was his speed. When he had the thigh muscles, a modern day sprinter. So it was kind of getting the photos and the kind of research for that. But it's without getting too much away, it's absolutely amazing.
It's that attention to detail, eh?
Absolutely,
it's
Kevin.
That attention to detail that's got to be perfect, because we have seen some. No, the Celtic ones. All the Celtic ones.
The
are fine.
Ronaldo one.
The Ronaldo one. That was exactly one I was going to pick up. You've seen some terrible efforts.
The statue, when you see it, you know who it is. It's not a statue that you would look at and go, "Who's that?" You know who it is straight in terms of the details of the face, the way he's standing, just the kind of presence of this. It's genuinely anybody that's not even into football will recognise it as a work of art.
Mm-hmm. And how was the decision made on where to place the statue? Where is it actually going to be positioned in Saltcoats?
It's going to be positioned in a place called Countess Street. There was a lot of bureaucracy involved, because once we started to get things on board, there was a thought of having it down the shore front. There was a thought of having it in Key Street, where Bobby was born, which is kind of a smaller street. So we looked at Facebook, Twitter, our local newspaper, and we gave the three options. Overwhelmingly, it was a place called Countess Street. As you get off the train at Saltcoats, if anybody's ever got off the train at Saltcoats, as you look directly at Saltcoats town, Bobby's statue is going to be the first thing you're going to see. So there was a lot of obstacles to overcome, although that was our preferred choice in terms of the whole bureaucracy thing. And that was probably our biggest battle. No, I wouldn't call it a battle, but it was our biggest obstacle. And we just kept meeting with folk and saying this is, and just pledging our case. And the Hedgins and the higher up ones in North Ayrshire come on our side. And for that, I need to take my hat off to them. They've been phenomenal. We wouldn't have got over the finishing line without their say-so, and then without their, obviously, assistance in the event for the unveiling.
Civic pride, eh?
Absolutely, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it is, Kevin.
First time I saw your smile, I prayed it never fade away. Sunset behind your eyes, shine your light another day. Your face, it has no place me, oh can't you see? We're gonna make it if we try. Our love, it will prevail from the darkness deep inside. Your flame incinerates all the debris in my life. You left the light that shines from your heart to my mind. Luce, shine over me. Luce, shine over me. Luce, shine over me. Shine over me.
That was Shine Your Light by Saltcoats songwriter Eddie Clark. Eddie wrote a Bobby Lennox tribute song for the statue fundraiser, and I'll be playing that track, Star of the Sea, a little later on. Having been raised in Saltcoats as a lifelong Celtic supporter, it was vitally important for Eddie to assist in the success of the statue fundraiser. Not only was Bobby Lennox one of Eddie's greatest ever Celts, he was also a family friend. Eddie's father, Jim Clark, was on Celtic's books at the same time as Bobby, and he was part of the famed Quality Street gang of the late 1960s. Eddie describes Bobby as a Celtic superstar, a great man who has never forgotten his roots, a true ambassador for our hometown of Saltcoats. Staying with the hometown theme, here is Eddie's second track, Saltcoats Shore.
Sitting waiting for the clouds to pass on the rocks on Saltcoats shore. All the dreams we had just fall apart. It's time to strip me to the core. Thinking of the days when we were young, back when life it seemed so kind. Reminiscing of the songs we sung. I just can't drink you out my mind. And I keep on falling on these shores over you. And I keep on falling on these shores because of you. If you stood by me like yesterday, we'd have the whole world in our hands. Mine is littered with those words you say, just like the debris on this sand. With my soul you've gone and sailed away. Like two ships at night I'm blind. Dark as streets, my home another can smoke you out my mind. And I keep on falling on this show over you. And I keep on falling on this show because of you.
These two songs will be appearing on Eddie's debut album, which he hopes will be completed by March 2019. His talent is clear from the two tracks I've played, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from Eddie Clark. The final song I'll be playing was named Star of the Sea, after Bobby and Eddie's local Catholic church, St Mary's Star of the Sea, which was also the chapel where Bobby was married, so it's a fitting tribute. Here, with his final song of today, we have the magnificent Eddie Clark with his Bobby Lennox tribute, Star of the Sea.
Forward, Lennox there, someone very dimming up. That's cheating feet well. Oh, glorious! Goal! Oh, Lennox, what a goal!
Down our way, he once wore the green. You know him as the glass bomb. Flash Celtic, his team. From out here to paradise, a young Lennox, he would go. He met with some lions there who brought us 9 flags in a row. Bobby Lennox, the star of the sea. Bobby Lennox, thank you for making our dream. In the sunshine of Lisbon, the sails went all out on attack. With Gamo and Chalmers, they made sure the big cup came back. Bobby Lennox, the star of the sea. Bobby Lennox, thank you for making our dream. There's a legend down our way. He once wore the green. You know him as the boss bomb. Glasgow Celtic, his team. You know him as the boss bomb, the greatest we've seen.
Talking about the unveiling,
Could
you tell us a wee bit more about when that's happening?
Absolutely.
And what you've got planned for the day?
The unveiling will be the 18th of November. The unveiling itself will happen at approximately 12:15 in the afternoon. We are hopeful to get a good representation from Glasgow Celtic on the day. A lot of the Lions will be there. I've got word that obviously BBC STV will be there, Celtic Television will be there. So it's all organised in terms of road closures, all that kind of stuff. And folk will get off the train and there'll be a kind of directions how to get. So we're hopefully a really good turnout. There will be a good turnout, especially for the Three Towns area. So the unveiling itself will be John Clark, and that was us asking Bobby in terms of, we were thinking maybe Kenny Dalglish or Alec Ferguson, and he said no, we brush. He signed the same time as Bobby. Lisbon Lion, internationalist, all that kind of stuff. And the other person that will be involved in the unveiling is a guy called Tony Savage. Tony's the father of a local boy, William Savage, who was tragically killed in Afghanistan. And that's our choice, as a committee to represent, the football fans, the Three Towns, and the whole community perspective. Sav was Ferdrossan. I didn't know him personally, young man, and he was a mad Celtic fan. His dad's a big Celtic fan. We got a bit of grief, Paul, when we put it out who the unveiling party was. And as I said, there's been a great sense of kind of coming together of a certain generation of Rangers fans. And we were absolutely delighted with that. But what we did, Sav was a serving British soldier when he was killed in Afghanistan. And we got a bit of grief from, I suppose, our own, in terms of Republican element of it was a statement of British imperialism, colonialism, all that kind of stuff. And it's no, Sav is for the Three Towns. He was a Celtic fan. His father was absolutely delighted, over the moon. And his father's representing nothing more than a Three Towns boy that was a Celtic supporter, that was one of our own, and everything that went with it. We were going to get into, we were really upset, as a committee, that we were getting this kind of grief, and we were going to sort of tackle it head on, and we kind of decided, there's no point. No, if they want to take it down the line, Bobby Lennox got an MBE, Jock Stein got an MBE, Billy McNeil got an MBE, and a few others. If they want to take that line, that's up to them. We're not going to change their minds. But Sav and his dad Tony are representative of nothing but football fans across the world in the Three Towns. So that'll be the kind of unveiling party. Once that's done, there's North Ayrshire have organised a kind of VIP lunch where the great and the good will be able to kind of wax lyrical about times with Bobby and stuff. So that'll be there, and probably about 6 o'clock I'll crash out somewhere, exhausted. But that's the kind of whole kind of layout of the day. Mm-hmm. So anybody that's going, get yourself down to Saltcoats for certainly 11 o'clock for the proceedings to start.
Back to Bobby. When you think of him, what is the greatest memory you've got of Bobby Lennox?
I think I was 10 and I couldn't play football to save myself. My brother was a phenomenal football player, my brother Andrew, and we played in the local parish teams. There was a local priest that had organised it, and there was teams like the Corinthians, the Romans, all that kind of stuff. And my brother's team won the kind of parish final, and we all get herded down to the local Gary Owen Celtic Supporters Club, and Bobby was there, and that was the kind of first time I was awestruck, and so even when I'm in his company, I mean, Andy will tell you, I need to sit for 5 minutes before I can open my mouth. So that was my first memory. Obviously watching him rattling goals, right, left and centre, across the world and domestically.
I had the great pleasure speaking to Bobby a few years back up at Hampden for a Nearly Mocking documentary we were making, and he told the story about when Jinky was getting death threats, and there was a European away tie, Atletico Madrid, second leg, and Bobby sat down. They shared a room, Jinky and Bobby,
all the time.
He sat down and he started eating one of the apples, and me, Jinky, was paranoid that it might have been poisoned. So everybody's got a favourite Bobby Lennox kind of memory.
Absolutely.
But not just as a player. When you think he was part of the team when 10 men won the league. He was still there in the 1980 Scottish Cup final. And then of course he had a backroom kind of role with the reserve team, and you still see him up at Celtic Park now.
Absolutely. We had an event in the local academy, and it was a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, and it was re-showing the Celtic Real Madrid game where we won 2-0. That was Bobby's last game in Europe for Celtic, so it was in a big auditorium, Paul, they're kind of looking down in the big screen. So we went down the night before to get everything set up. Celtic were bringing the Di Stefano trophy down for everyone to see and get their picture taken, and Bobby came in, and you guys know me about we were doing sound checks and all that kind of stuff. I was just walking about not knowing what to do with myself, and Dean started running, put the lights down, and he started running the game, and I could get emotional telling you, I was kind of stood away. Bobby was right at the front looking up at the big screen, just watching it, and he was there again. He just immersed in it, and in that kind of second, obviously we're Celtic supporters, but I could almost see his love for Glasgow Celtic and his teammates, and all the days and what they meant to him. It was really quite a surreal moment for me, I suppose.
I think Kevin mentioned earlier the documentary that won the BAFTA. And Bobby goes doing the kind of shorefront and places like that. There's a real feeling of they guys now knowing that they're at that stage of their lives where they're losing a few of their pals, or they're becoming ill. But I mean, with regards to Bobby's time at Celtic, we spoke to Frank McAvenny earlier for a podcast, and he spoke about the backroom team. You would look about, and sometimes in the changing room you would see Bobby Lennox or Jimmy Johnson, and it's an old-fashioned boot room mentality where the past is in the present. Do you think in a way Celtic are losing that?
I think football's losing it altogether, Paul. Just obviously I'd be down at Bobby's. I think it was Chelsea Man United game. It was on Sky in the afternoon, and these guys are coming off the bus with the headphones on their phones, all that kind of stuff, and it immediately got Bobby angry. He says, see, that really bugs me. He says, if that was us, Jock Stein would have hit us over the head with it. Mr. Stein, he never calls him Jock, calls him boss, gaffer. He said he would have hit us over the head. He says, and as he began to explain, that takes away the whole team thing. Because Bobby was explaining, when we were on the bus going to Aberdeen or wherever it was we were going, you either had to sing a song or you had to play cards. That there was that whole sort of bonding thing. So that's whole kind of superstar stuff has really got, the sacrifices come with it, doesn't it? It takes away the accessibility and the I suppose the realism of these guys, and it's a shame.
I think as well there's a lot more foreign players now, and there's a lot of different languages in the changing rooms, different religions, different
cultures,
and sometimes you look not just at Celtic, but you have a look at other teams and you go, I can see the guys who hang about together. You can just tell right away. And we've all been at supporters rallies and stuff, and the team's been there, and you see four sitting here, four sitting there, and you can tell that there's maybe no that togetherness. When the Jim Craig and the Willie Wallace thing we were at the other week there, Paul, you could tell they were pals, and they'll be pals for now evermore. But you have a look at modern day football and you go, some of these boys won't remember playing with these guys, or will...
And unless they've seen them at training and on the game and match day, some of these guys will not contact each other. Back in the day before internet, and Bobby and the Lions were always in contact with each other. And the kind of sense I get was there was no cliques. It was very much... Bobby talks as fondly about Bertie as he does about Ronnie Simpson, and in that whole kind of, there's a real massive sense of togetherness when Bobby kind of recounts his memories and his pals and stuff.
Famously, came from 30 miles from paradise.
Absolutely.
And the statue is going to be 30 miles from paradise. Do you think that all of the Lisbon Lions should have a statue in their hometown for their achievements?
100%. 125%. Will it ever be achieved? Absolutely not. In terms of Europe, our success in Europe is a million miles away. What the guys achieved is recognised with guys like Bobby Charlton, Alfredo Di Stefano, Eusebio, absolute giants of that era. And I think a statue for every one of them in their hometown is only fitting. Obviously, there was a kind of a drive for us. Obviously, Bobby been the outcast, as it were, and no being for Glasgow. But anybody that wants to and is thinking about any supporters club, please get in touch with us, and if we can pass on with pearls of wisdom, advice, we will, definitely. And if you are, as a committee, be prepared to follow each other.
No, I think it's a good idea to come to you guys, because, as I say, they look great, but you have not got a clue how to start, who to go to design it. Absolutely. And then you've got the issues, the pitfalls that you've already experienced, and you can maybe warn them early doors about stuff like that.
Definitely. As I say, Mark, Dean, Caroline, myself, we're all very different characters, and you can be all very, but it just takes that one driven goal, that agreed focus. How you get there, you can dispute, fight, fall out, but you fall back in again because you've got that common goal. Mm-hmm. And one person might not do things right that you want it done, or they might think the same of you, but you're always got that common goal.
Mm-hmm. When you started the campaign, could you tell us what the target figure was, and some of the events and some of the merchandise, etc., that you created to reach the goal?
I think the target figure was 50,000. And as I say, that started with hidden teams and all that kind of stuff. The events we've had, sportsmen's dinners, as I say, the event at Kerrydale, the five-a-side tournament up at Lennoxtown. We've had local nights in the Chapel Hall. So they're all very good income in terms of revenue. And I came on board, my idea was made about merchandise, and I had I'm a big boxing fan, and I had bought a Benny Lynch t-shirt. I got in touch with the guy who made the t-shirts. There was a guy called Matt McGlone, with the Save the Celts campaign. And Matt just couldn't, he was, I'll do t-shirts, and he really, it was almost a kind of meant to happen. Got the design to Matt, and we were selling the t-shirts at £15. Matt just took labour costs for his t-shirts. I think he'd maybe regret doing it. And then we get essentially a tenner for every t-shirt. Mm-hmm. The t-shirts are honestly, genuinely all over the world. I think we started off, we ordered 50, and then it was going to need a bigger boat, Captain. So then it was like another 25, and then it was, Matt, can you run us half 100? Oh no, and then, so I reckon we've sold about 400 t-shirts all over the world, and I've came from Russia, writing names I couldn't pronounce, in Mexico, all over America, Canada, Australia, and then we had the idea, the badges and the pennants. We think we got 100 pennants made, and then we had the idea of just Bobby to sign them. They were gone in 48 hours, honestly gone. I had family, gives a canny, get after head. Badges. There was a local woman called Barbara Petrowska. Barbara's a noted author and activist for women's rights and civil rights, and she now stays in Kilwinning with her and her partner Jake. Jake got in touch with me that Barbara had painted this portrait of Bobby. And I says, aye, okay, it's magic. He says, why, come here and see it? I says, aye, okay. So now I couldn't believe, the prints that they were selling. And the portrait is Bobby in his Celtic strip, kicking a ball in Saltcoats Beach. And Barbara's named the portrait Star of the Sea. So that was kind of exhibited everywhere. We managed to get prints. The prints sold like hotcakes, still are. We've sent them everywhere. And we get Bobby to sign a big load. And then if you're wanting personalised, let us know. We take it down and Bobby will personalise them. So that was kind of part of the whole kind of merchandise thing. And then we had a sportsman's dinner, and Barbara says, sell the painting. So he says, aye, Barbara, no problem. What is it you want to raise? She says, no, you sell the painting, you keep the money. And it was unbelievable. So we had the sportsman's dinner. Somebody had put in a bid of £1,888. And these were kind of online bids. And then somebody had put in a bid of £1,967. So it was that kind of stuff. On the night, the painting went for £4,000.
Incredible.
To an unknown bidder. Mm-hmm. And it was stuff like that. And then it's been an amazing experience, Paul, being part of that. It's something I'll be able to hold on. I'll be able to hold on to for the rest of my life. How this wee tune that is blighted with bigotry and sectarianism. Without a doubt it is, and I wouldn't shy away from that. But for the past two and a bit years, folk can still come together for a common cause. And it's just been amazing to be part of that.
The only other thing for me to say today, Stuart, is thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure,
and
Paul,
being
honestly.
part of a Celtic State of Mind, and we look forward to seeing that statue when it's erected next month.
Thanks very much, Stuart.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Thank you.